Alright, what is up everyone? Sean here and welcome to my review for Darling in Franxx. This is my first time indeed for a TV anime on this channel for, reviewing it. Unlike the anime movies I reviewed in the past, including the Godzilla movie on Netflix, Planet of Monsters, I believe. There was Fairy Tale Dragon's Cry, whatever. And also Your Name, aka Kimi no Nawa. So, now this time, of all things to talk about, the very first time for this channel anyway, Darling in Franxx. This will be a pretty interesting one because it was the most, one of the most anticipated animes of this year, within from the winter time, which was, it started from January 13th, and I believe it ended around July 13th or around that time, give or take. But a good half year. For the run anyway, 7 months, just about, with 24 episodes, give or take. Might have been 22, might be 24 because of the specials here and there in between. But otherwise, yeah, it's a pretty good number of episodes and a lot to live up to. It was a pretty big collaboration with A1 Pictures under the name Cloverworks at the time, and then it was also between Trigger as well. So big studios coming together for an anime, and this was the product. And this is one of those reviews where I can't really talk about it without spoiling it. So unfortunately, for those who haven't seen it just yet, can't really get much out of this video. So if you want to watch Darling in Franxx, finish it up or something, go ahead and finish it up before you see this review. But yeah, if I had to sum up my thoughts about this anime overall, I really had some high hopes with this, and it really, after that big twist, it left me disappointed. It was such a curveball of a twist that it didn't work, because this time around, it's such a slower paced, serious toned anime that that kind of tactic that was used for Kill la Kill, it backfired big time this time around. So, but let me get into the parts where I liked it and then the stuff that I didn't like about it. So what I liked about it was the action that was presented. What I also liked was the music. Music was fantastic. I love the opening. The endings were pretty good, and I'm really glad they kept the same opening but with a different opening animation when as the anime went into more episodes, and it gave out some nice hints of what the show was going to be like, including the second version of the opening, which was really cool. I love the colors and everything and all that. And I love also the art direction, the colors, and just the overall palette that they've offered for Darling in Franxx. I love the visuals. I love the music. The voice acting was great, as expected. The characters I really liked. I really liked 02. Really liked Goro. Really liked Kokoro, surprisingly. Mitsuru I grew to like over time. Hated his guts at first, but that's a sign of good character development in my opinion. So Mitsuru is kind of up there as well. And Zorome was okay. He had an episode to himself, and he discovered a number of things about the adults, I think, or at least some things. He learned something about the adults in the world. that he looked up to so much. And unfortunately, there are some throwaways. I felt like Miku is the biggest one of them all. Like, there's nothing really much going on with her other than at the beginning she was a bit of an asshole, and then she just became nice. You know what I mean? And she was the first to show off that with that bit of gray hair, that these kids are aging kind of quick. They have accelerated aging just because of the way they're produced. They are artificially produced humans, essentially, known as parasites, and they pilot these mechs who need both male and female because they carry different chromosomes in order to activate the mechs or the Franxx, which is why you see a lot of those X's, which is the chromosomes. From all the graphics you see in the titles and the logos and stuff like that, the X's kind of represent the chromosomes or DNA or just genetics in general, which is a lot of that genetic science, DNA science within this anime too. And I will say also, speaking of which, it's strikingly similar with God Eater. If anyone watches that or play the games at all, I watched the anime along with a friend, and that's how I kind of got exposed to the story of God Eater a lot better anyway. And essentially is pretty much very similar with that in many ways, because it takes place in a post-apocalyptic world. There are gods, the monsters that they have to fight against by being gods themselves. They have that trait from the gods in order to operate these weapons, and they need to have that bracelet so that they don't become these monsters themselves, I believe. And they're the ones who have the ability to wield these weapons, and they are the ones who can fight the gods themselves. It's just, you gotta fight a god with another god, essentially. And with during the Franxx, the Klaxosaurs that they were fighting with the mechs and all that, the mechs were Klaxosaurs also themselves, pretty much. And then I'm probably going to talk more about the whole twist later on, but sorry, I digressed a little bit with the similarities and stuff like that. But yeah, I did like the build-up, sort of, in a way. I like the character arcs that these characters go through, essentially, and the relationships that they have with each other. Very interesting, and the characters overall, they very much involved with the story, which I did like. And unfortunately, that could be a downside to some people, because this was sort of kind of marketed as a mecha anime, but it's an anime with mecha, but not so much. It's sort of like Guilty Crown in that sense too. There are some mechas in there too, but they're much less involved than you would think. It's just very much character driven, just like Johnny the Franxx, or just like Guilty Crown. So, also funny enough, features a pink-haired girl who's also one of the protagonists and stuff. But sorry, I digress again. But yeah, it's just a lot of these similarities, striking similarities. But anyways, what I talked about: music, visuals, characters overall. Ichigo, man, I liked her design. I like her, blue hair and all that. She's cute, whatever, good looks and all that. But man, her feelings for Hiro were so just holding it back, man. Holding it back from really liking her. Especially when it's like, okay, they go away for a moment. And then, she's like, I want to be with Hiro now. Like, the way she confessed her feelings and all that stuff, was like, oh god, no. And then Goro was there, and then Goro was like sad on the inside. I'm like, no. Because I like Goro. Goro is so cool. as a character. Not, you know, I mean, his design was okay. He had some cool, he had some like dual colored hair and stuff like that, and glasses, which they kind of relate. But yeah, he's such a good guy in that story. But man, he gets shafted early on, man. He had a really good moment with Ichigo. He confessed his feelings, and Ichigo just didn't know how to react to that, and still sees him as a good friend. And so during those times, he gets a little friend zoned, and then he gets shoved way too deep into the friend zone whenever she tried to confess to Hiro. Whenever 02 was, leaving, and there was that little conflict episode or whatever, or conflict arc. Whenever 02 was growing more and more ferocious because of her Klaxosaur side of her DNA. So, she, because of that, all that stuff happened, and she had to leave for the moment, and I guess join back with the Nines. And that was another one. There was the Nines, and they did their job as villains, I guess, or antagonists at the time, which they fucked the annoyed the fuck out of me. But Ikuno, who was another likable character as well, gets shafted by the end, but I'll get more to that. Gives them a nice backhand, or at least the leader anyway, in the face. That was actually a really good scene. That felt really good, So I really like Ikuno, definitely at that point too. So 02, what was it, Kokoro, Mitsuru, Kokoro and Mitsuru, they both have very interesting character arcs. Ichigo, mixed feelings, but by the end of it, she does become likable. She just, eventually grows to learn to accept that Hiro doesn't like her as much as she does to him. He doesn't have the same feelings for her. And Hiro, man. Anyways, excuse me. Zorome had his own episode, so he obviously has some involvement, but however, there are some throwaways with the characters, unfortunately, even though this is supposed to be a very character-driven anime, seems like. And there was Miku, who I can't really remember seeing really growing as a character, in my opinion. She was an asshole in the early parts, but then she, becomes nice. She kind of becomes just sassy and stuff like that, I guess. And that's pretty much it. There's no really other significant changes, or she never really shows any other just significance in the story. That's pretty much it. She's kind of in the back line, kind of giving support, not really so much being the glue of that little birdhouse or whatever, but she's kind of just there, really. And I think, in my opinion, she might be the most kind of just there kind of character, Futoshi, at least, he gets shafted really hard, and he eats a lot, he's fat, whatever, but when he confesses feelings to Kokoro, but he gets shafted, and Mitsuru kind of takes that, he sucks it up very much, a lot better than what Ichigo would have, and he, in fact, wanted to be the one to bring Mitsuru and Kokoro together. And whenever later on Kokoro has a baby with Mitsuru, he was the first one to be like, congrats, man. He just gives Mitsuru a freaking tight ass heartwarming hug, so he was just really happy for them. So he was able to handle that a lot better. And even between that too, right after that, he was still smiling for Kokoro, and he's just still really good on good terms with Kokoro. So Futoshi is, as much as he gets kind of shafted on the character arc or whatever, character development, he's definitely still likable. You can't really hate the guy because he tried to go for it. And didn't succeed. But by the end of things went good for him. So Futoshi was somewhat likable, I would say. Ikuno, I didn't want to like her more, but gets shafted by the end, in my opinion. But I'll get more to that later on. Let's see. The other things I did like, some of the episodes were likable. I mean, it really, like I said, it really involves a lot with the characters. And there was like the beach episode. There was the episode with the boys and the girls kind of trying to create that line and be like, yeah, you stay on your side. That kind of episode, especially with 02, it's really funny. But other than that, I think that's really all I can say for the likes. Just the looks, the music, the sounds, production side, obviously, technical sides very good, animation very good, for especially with the action scenes that we were given. They're really, yeah, like I said, there's really not much else. The ending, yeah, I did like too. It's pretty much a happy ending for the most part. But other than that, it's just that's pretty much all I can say about that. And now, I gotta get into the parts I didn't like. And the biggest one, I'm gonna just get this out of the way. The biggest one of them all, for when it comes to stuff that I didn't like, was the big twist that they offered in this story. For the first 19 episodes, it was pretty good. They were, good. There was some action with the mechs and stuff like that, like I said, but there was a lot of character arcs, a lot of just fleshing out the relationships between, most characters anyway. But then it just comes with, oh, the Verm are the true enemy, and the Klaxazors are not really the enemy, and you were under, the Papa was the true bad guy the entire time. It's like, it was such a left field kind of twist that, or such a big curveball that it really didn't, impacted me in a good way. In fact, it really, really, turned me off for this anime, unfortunately. It, had all this build-up, it had all this interesting stuff going on, this lore that was, building up for the most part, and then just this curveball just comes out of nowhere, and just, it was such a disappointment on that part. And it's so out of nowhere, it's just so out of place, in my opinion, that it's just, it really seems like they just ran out of ideas. They really did not know how to carry on the story, and it was like, oh, let's just have a space battle or something. So let's just make these alien, the enemy just aliens from space, and they just want to conquer Earth or something. And that's really unfortunate. There's animes like that that's just really, really disappoint me like that, including Sword Art Online, which I still do like to a degree to this day, but it could have turned out a lot better. But unfortunately, the same happened with here, and yeah, it really, really made, and also even from there, after the big twist, the bridge between the not true ending, but I played Detroit, so that still stuck in my head a bit. But the ending, the final ending, and the climactic twist, the bridge between that just overall was poorly structured. It was weak. It just kind of just rushed it so badly that it really, really brought down the grade of this anime at this point. And that's really the biggest one of them all, really. And really after that, there's really nothing memorable. There's no memorable action scenes, no really cool fighting going on. Just a lot of little explosions, in the background. Little, kind of like what you see in Gundam, this little, just kind of like fireworks, just little explosions you would see from far away after you shoot a big ass beam or something. Um, this is not a whole lot of melee or anything, any memorable action. And I mean, yeah, I mean the nines kind of sacrifice themselves for the most part. But man, it was just it really brought it down. I was really hoping to see all the gang just teaming up and just at that point kick the Verm's ass, right? But it has turned into it's just gonna be me, Hero and 02. We gotta just travel to space, and that's it. You guys can go home now, and that's how it ends. It's just that's how the bridge is built, and it's so just. It could have been done a lot better, in my opinion, and it's one of those animes that really needed a second season. Like I felt like after the big twist, it could have been like, we're gonna have a season 2 or something, but that's the whole series. That's it. We're not gonna get a second season, even though it is, yes, open ended. Sure, like the Verm, said it right at the end. We can come back. We will evolve, become stronger, and stuff like that. And meanwhile, yeah, the Earthlings or the people on planet Earth are pretty happy for the most part. They rejuvenated their entire people, but it's one of those animes that never really is gonna have a second season, unfortunately. The same goes with Kill la Kill, as popular as that anime was, and I'm gonna bring that up for a little bit because that's another anime that had a very kind of curveball kind of twist, and funny enough, it involves with space again. Like it just seems like that's what they resort to when it comes to writing, running out of writing ideas. But I felt like it worked a little better with Kill la Kill, if not, or a lot better, just because, Kill la Kill is known for its over-the-top, just story and just themes and going on. It was there's just already a lot of ridiculous things going on already, so you're kind of just expecting sort of like that. And I think, in my opinion, it worked. It's just, because of the way it was paced, it worked for Kill la Kill, right? And I was still going to enjoy it. But with this, man, this anime is a lot more serious in tone, definitely. As much as there are some comedic scenes, it's a lot more of a steady pace. So that's why you really gotta make sure you build up to that twist. If you had something going on with Papa and his partner, because it was him and his partner that are the Verm, and the other three that I think they were just humans. And you don't really get to see them that often. You don't really get to see them outside the mask or whatever, other than when they die. But you only see one person's face, and it was just some black dude or whatever. And I think he has some sort of smile or something. But anyways, you don't really get to see Papa. It's like it's such a cheap way of doing mystery or something. It's like a cheap way of creating a mysterious character. But you gotta throw in hints of Papa here and there on his own or with his partner to to keep you interested. To see make you think, whoa, what's going on? What's going on behind the scenes? It's just so it doesn't feel like it's out of nowhere as much as as it did. So that's why build up is very important in stories like this, and that's why this similar tactic just didn't work. It really is unfortunate that it turned out that way, and that's just how it goes. That's how it's gonna end. It was like one of the most anticipated animes of this year. That's how it turned out. Oh, you're finding the wrong enemy, guys. You're finding the wrong people. They're the enemy. But yeah, there's some other things I didn't like as well. The main character, unfortunately, was like just wasn't memorable enough, wasn't cool enough. I mean, sure, he has some development here and there, but I don't know. I mean, um, his pacing was was kind of slow. I mean, yeah, he was a prodigy. He was a good pilot and all, or Stamen. And then what happened, with Zero Two and him when they were kids, their memory got erased along with his ability because he ingested her blood because he was trying to treat her wound on her knee, and he ingested her blood. Therefore, he's like kind of linked to her, and that's why he lost his ability to pilot with anyone in general because he linked himself with Zero Two, but he doesn't remember Zero Two, so therefore he just doesn't know who that special partner is, and that's why he was just lost and tried to just redeem himself at some point. And but I don't know, like between the stuff between that and to the point where he's he recognizes himself as him the only one that Zero Two can be with, darling his he at the point where he sees himself as the darling. It's just there's not, I don't know, it just wasn't well built enough. That's another weak bridge, in my opinion. Yeah, and by then he grows horns and stuff like that, and he has the blue skin or whatever. He has like the blue markings, just like Zero Two has the red markings. So opposites, red and blue. Just like the logo and stuff like that. The X's and stuff. But let's see if there's anything else I didn't like about main character. The villains weren't really around, in my opinion. I think it was just really all about the heroes this time around, which I'm okay with sometimes. It really depends on how the story is, but yeah, even with that, the way the big twist happened and all that, it really really plummeted down for me, and it only made the ending okay or just likable. I enjoyed it, but it could have been a lot more enjoyable if the bridge between the twist and the ending were good, or just the lead up to the big twist was a lot better. So, that's I think that's really all I gotta say without really trying to dig in deeper. Other than it bait and switched with the mechs. A lot of people thought it was going to be a mecha anime, but not so much. It was just a lot of character driving stuff with the main cast of characters, with the pilots and all that, and not so much of the mechs. There's a lot of those episodes in between the mech fights, and whenever the mechs are fighting, it doesn't really feel that long at all. There's not really a whole lot of memorable action scenes with the mechs anyway. So other than all the stuff with Strezia, and then I did like I did like Kokoro's Franxx, which is the one with the kind of like that Russian hat or whatever in a dress. She kind of had like the gun lance, so that's what it kind of remind me of. And I kind of wish she kind of used more of it like a gun lance in Monster Hunter, but yeah, if she did that cool reloading animation, like the flick with the gun lance, that would have been so cool. That would have brought up a little more. But it's just a standard little lance with a gun or whatever, with a gun barrel at the end. But it is vaguely kind of like the gun lance from Monster Hunter. But anyways, it's just not a whole lot. The mech designs were okay only. Could have been a lot better. But I just wish that the other mechs had their own transformations as well. But Not so much. No, just Drexia. You know, she's that special one. With 02 and all that stuff. I mean, I didn't talk much about 02, but you guys know, where I'm gonna go with that. I mean, she's adorable. She's had a pretty interesting development, I guess, and you kind of come to understand her feelings and stuff like that. And she's just, she had a good number of funny moments. There were some memorable moments with her, kind of getting away from the guards and stuff like that, trying to, get together with Hero, kind of doing that dance thing to go through the gate, whatever. But yeah, there's really not much to say about her other than, well, she definitely is interesting. I liked her for the most part. She's likable, and that's pretty much to it. So I think, yeah, overall, well, actually, there is one more thing I didn't like about the anime. Not a whole lot of story between Futoshi and Ikuno. They could have been really good friends. They could have been really good, like, interesting couple partners or whatever. But obviously, Ikuno is a lesbian, and Futoshi liked Kokoro. I don't know. They could have gone together, talked to each other about their feelings with their, the ones they actually liked, and develop some sort of friendship from there and be good friends. But there wasn't really any cutscene, or not cutscene. No, there isn't really any scene with them. So I felt like she got shafted. He got shafted on that part too. And speaking of which, Ikuno, made that big sacrifice, unfortunately, and really put her into a place where she just, man, she deserved better. I thought she really deserved better, in my opinion. But at least she was able to, save the parasites from aging too fast, and she came up with a cure or something. So that's pretty much, her big redeeming factor, I guess. She is bedridden, excuse me, unfortunately. But, she's in a relationship with Naomi, and that's another character I wish they showed more of. She's a kind of an interesting character. She's missing an arm, and she was Hero's partner at some point. But no, they really didn't, show her off anymore after she left. And yeah, she was deemed defective, so she was in storage, I guess. So kind of like a battery, sort of, potentially. But she was free. And oh yeah, there was also Hachi and Nana. I mean, they were kind of interesting, but it didn't really show the two of them too much. You can assume they kind of become a couple, with the way they said to each other by the end of the anime. And the way, in Nana's past, she was a pistol, and she looks back on Hachi whenever they were younger, and she had that look in her eyes that she likes him, but I believe her memory was erased as well, unfortunately, so that's why she kind of lost it in a way. But it's weird because they're the only two that aren't able to age. They're like right in the middle. They're adults and yet they're not aging. So in essence, they're immortal. They aren't old. They aren't any younger either. So they're like right in the middle. They're right at the right age, I guess, being an adult. They pretty much said to each other that we're gonna watch over these people, see how this goes, and yeah, I mean, that's another pair that could have used some more exploring. Even Franxx had a good amount of time too. You get to see his backstory. You're gonna see that God Eater kind of storyline that he goes through. He was a scientist, fell in love with another scientist or whatever. She dies during one of the experiments, and he just lost it from there. So And yeah, I mean, yeah, this whole story could have been a lot better too. There could have been a little more exploration with other characters. It's one of those animes that again could have used a second season, you know, so that way you can see more characters being explored. Maybe the big twist being developed and followed up a lot better, or build up to it a lot better, and just, you know, overall have a much solid, more solid of a bridge between the twist and the ending. So that's just, you know, that's just how I feel about it. And there's just, I think that's pretty much it for all the dislikes, or whatever, and the likes. And that's all I gotta say for Darling in the Franxx. So if I were to give it a rating, I really thought about it. At first I gave it a 7, but really thinking about it, and the more I talk about it, it could have been a lot better. It's just a little above average, I would say, just because the production and stuff like that was really good, and the action scenes were alright for what they were. Obviously there's some value to put in, production value put into them. Love the art direction, the colors and everything, the music and all that stuff. So if I were to give it a rating, I'll just give it, I actually would give it a 6.5 out of 10, with 5 being always the average. So just a little above average, you know. But like I said, it could have wrapped up the story a lot better. There were some parts still that need to be explored. The action could have been could have used a lot more, some more juice to them. Wished a little more mechs, I guess. But at least the character-driven stuff was interesting, at least. So there was that. And it had a lot of potential. They had a lot of building up, I guess, to it. But they missed the one part, and that was the villain, you know? They forgot to put them in the story, so they kind of made the big twist like a lot weaker than, you know, than they thought they would. And it could have turned out a lot better than what was presented. So really unfortunate, but still, I still thought the whole experience was worth it. It was still worth enough. It was interesting. I was entertained. I still liked it for what it was, but could have been a lot better. It's a 6.5 out of 10. And for people who are looking for mech anime, I don't recommend it to you guys. But for anyone who just looks forward to just character stories and stuff like that, interactions with the characters, I think this is a pretty good one. Pretty cute moments, pretty funny moments, pretty interesting moments too, pretty serious moments as well between characters. But other than that, the overall structure of it was okay. Like I said, could have been a lot better. Could have been a lot better. So that's pretty much it for me. If you guys have any comments about Darling in the Franxx, let me know down below. Love to check them out. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button, please. Really appreciate it, guys. And if you want to support the channel any further, links, all the links in the description below are there, including Loot Crate, my Twitter. Check out my Twitch page or whatever. I stream here and there. But yep, that's pretty much it on that. So my review on Darling in the Franxx is now has come to a close. So again, 6.5 out of 10, and it's interesting enough, just a little above average. So anyways, thank you guys so much. I will pretty much focus on the Godzilla second movie on Netflix next for when it comes to anime and reviews. And maybe hopefully I'll do more anime reviews like this. Maybe I'll do like a simple review whenever, you know, it really depends on how I feel about the anime. Maybe you know, do that simple review I did with Incredibles 2. But we'll see. We'll see about how I feel about them and stuff like that. And the time I have, hopefully, if I have the chance, I'll do it. So hope you guys look forward to more anime reviews. So until then, I'll see you guys in the next video. Ciao now.